You see, the Bulls could not say yes.
But the Cavaliers couldn't knock out the Nets in the red-hot Drazen Petrovic until the game's final minute.
Steal by Hot Rod. Hot Rod heading to the hole, and he'll dunk it home.
On to the Garden and the first-round rematch. Celtics and Pacers. No, Larry Bird didn't play. Yes, Boston still won. Reggie Lewis was the spark, a 36-point night, as the Celtics pulled away late to win by 11. In Oakland, George Karl's Sonics pulled off the night's only upset, an 8-point win over Golden State. Ricky Pierce, a veteran of the playoff wars, scored 20 of his 28 in the second half. So much for the Warriors' home court edge. It was business as usual in Portland. The Blazers scorched the Lakers. Clyde was back.
I was moving super fast. I was speeding. And the thing was, it was just great to get back out on the floor, just to play again. It just feels wonderful.
Tonight, our playoff journey continues with a doubleheader. We'll take you to Chicago Stadium where the champs are licking their chops. Michael and the Bulls begin their quest for back-to-back titles, and it could be an open and shut case. They open with a best-of-5 against Miami. The Heat make their first postseason appearance. For Ronnie Cycli and company, that's a tough draw. And then it's on to Salt Lake City. The Jazz moved into a new building and promptly set a franchise record for home wins. They were 37-4. Malone and Stockton await the challenge from L.A. Larry Brown brings the Clippers to town. The first playoff appearance for that franchise in 16 years. We'll see how long they hang around. We have got that playoff swagger on TNT. Tonight, the NBA playoffs hit full stride. Good evening, everybody. Ernie Johnson in Atlanta. 8 teams played last night. The other 8 go tonight. You'll see the Bulls hosting Miami, and later, the Clippers and the Jazz from Salt Lake City. And, of course, we'll keep you posted on the Knicks and the Pistons and the Suns and the Spurs with bonus coverage as the night progresses. And joining me once again here in the studio, Sixers head coach Jim Lynam. And, folks, if you went to bed last night, you weren't around for the whole doubleheader. Portland breezed and Seattle surprised. Your thoughts?
Portland came big time out of the gate, Ernie. They were running early and really gave the Lakers no chance to get in the game. It was over by halftime.
The Sonics, Golden State.
Surprise. I think that the pressure has really shifted. You can win that first game in a 5-game set on the road. You put the pressure on the other team.
Now tonight, Chicago and Miami. That doesn't take much explanation.
No, not really, but don't put the onus so much on Miami. Chicago versus anybody at this point, monumental chore. Inexperienced Miami are really going uphill.
Intriguing out west, you got the Clippers and Utah tonight.
I think this has the potential to be a very, very competitive series because I do not see the Clippers as your normal number 17. They've been playing extremely well since Larry took over.
That'll be game 2 tonight. We'll be back at the half with updates and highlights, but right now sit back, enjoy a first-round doubleheader. The Heat and the Bulls, followed by the Clippers and Jazz on TNT.
NBA playoff basketball returns to Chicago. After an 82-game regular season wait, Bulls fans are right where they want to be, jammed into Chicago Stadium, ready to root their defending champs. The Bulls' mighty impressive 2-year run, 143 victories, only 38 losses, and a point differential of almost 10.5 per game. They went through the opposition in the regular season like a hot knife through butter. Dick Versace, I don't see many chinks in the armor of the champs.
Well, I don't know how you can take advantage of them, but there are 2. They're at the bottom of the league in free throw percentage and in 3-point shooting.
From a Miami standpoint, it has been a steady climb over the past 4 years. The Miami Heat coming into the league and winning 15 in its initial season. Then they jumped it by 3, then by 6, then the big push, 14-game improvement to 38 victories and the final spot in the East.
But, J.D., it's such a brand-new experience for these Miami Heat players. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
It's a new experience in the playoffs, but Coach Kevin Lockery told us before the game they are used to pressure basketball.
We really had a stretch run of the last month of the season, which was invaluable experience for our young team. We're the youngest team in the NBA. Every night was a big game, right down to the last game of the season with Boston at Boston. I would like to see us come as focused as we were against the Celtics. I thought that was a great game for us, even though we didn't win it. I don't think I think we've overcome all the jitters of a playoff stretch.
Well, I hope Kevin Lockery can carry that confidence across to his team. I look for a lot of early timeouts from the Miami Heat.
NBA playoffs roll on TNT from the west side of Chicago. The Chief Eagles starting lineups tonight for Game 1. The visiting Heat with Glenn Rice and Grant Long at the forward spots. Ronnie Cycli in the middle. Brian Shaw and Steve Smith in the backcourt. And the Chicago Bulls with that familiar lineup: Pippen, Grant, Cartwright, Paxson, and Jordan. This is a veteran-tested Bulls team. 618 playoff games, Dick Versace, to 25 for the Heat.
Well, that's an awesome differential there, and Kevin Lockery showed a lot of bravado in his opening comments. I took a team, the Indiana Pacers, that had been to the playoffs a couple other times, but it hadn't been but about 6 years. Now we see Kevin Lockery and Phil Jackson preparing their teams. But the point being, this is a team that's never been to the playoffs, and it's really a different concept for them, because what they don't realize is, yes, they've been playing hard, as Kevin pointed out, in the last few games of the regular season, but they have no idea what they're in for when the Dobermans are turned loose by Chicago. I'm afraid that we're going to see an opening, and I hope not for their sake, but I'm afraid we're going to see an opening like we saw against Portland and L.A. the other night.
The Bulls have never lost to Miami, as you see by that graphic. 4 of those victories coming this year, but the Heat were very competitive in 3 of the games. In fact, one of them was a 2-point game in Miami. This Miami team, as Kevin Lockery told us prior to the telecast tonight, the youngest team in the NBA. And so it was that stretch run in which they were in contention all the way to, well, the final day of the season, that he feels is going to help them have some kind of experience in terms of playing under pressure.
Well, J.D., I look for Kevin Lockery to do all kinds of cute, clever things. One of the things I anticipate is that he's going to play a small lineup, maybe with Glenn Rice at the power forward and Grant Long at the center, and almost anyone else, Keith Askins or one of the guards at the small forward, trying to get an offensive team in there that can put a lot of points on the board. Small teams in the past have given this team a little bit of trouble, but only on occasion.
The Bulls went 15-2 on their way to the championship in the last playoff season back in '91. They have also won 16 of their last 17 playoff games here in Chicago Stadium.
Well, anytime you have a guy that has Glenn Rice on the other team, the player that he's become, the interior leader that he's become for this Miami Heat team, and the fact that he's such an unbelievable three-point shooter, this guy has made more three-point shots this season than 9 other NBA teams.
We have a delay because of a malfunction of the shot clock and game clock above the basket, which is, by the way, to the left as you look at the court with our television picture. So it's the defensive goal of the Chicago Bulls. The other clocks are working properly over the other basket. It's interesting that the Miami Heat should become the first team in this recent expansion group to make it, because they are playing against the only team in NBA history to make the playoffs its first year in existence.
And as we go through this list, you'll see that 4th places them about in the middle of the pack. There were a couple other teams that got in earlier, and then other teams that got in their 4th year. So they're really a blueprint, I think, for expansion teams in the future. There's no question that Billy Cunningham, Louis Chappelle, all have done a tremendous job of building this team. They built it through the draft. They built it with young players, and they built it with good character of the players. The players that have been a problem for them, like Sherman Douglas, they moved them on. And I think that's what you got to do if you want to eventually sniff at a championship. You got to build a team around good character.
Darryl Garrettson has made the decision to get this game underway, and the shot clock and game clock above the one basket to the left, as you look at that picture, will be worked on while the game progresses. Horace Grant guarded by Grant Long. Pippen juggles, and Miami comes up with a steal. It's Rice to the ball, and now Steve Smith. The point guard on this Miami Heat club. And the outside shot won't drop for Shaw.
I really would have liked to have seen Brian Shaw let some other members of the team touch a little leather in such a crucial first possession. It's not a bad idea. Just let him touch the ball one time, you know, before you put that shot up.
That's part of that inexperience, although Shaw has the most experience of any starter, the only playoff experience of any starter. Michael Jordan turning it in, and the tip is also missed. The ball belongs to the Heat.
And Brian Shaw has got the assignment of guarding Michael Jordan. He's going to have his hands full all night. He's normally used to guarding point guards. Most of his experience in the league has been in guarding point guards.
He's guarding Smith. Smith is a point guard, but he's 6'8". Miami with a big guard tandem, Smith and Shaw. 10 on the shot clock. Shaw against Paxson. Rice. And Jordan spears the rebound. We've played over a minute, no score. Chicago in a hurry. And Scottie Pippen breaks the ice.
Well, Glenn Rice took a very tough off-balance shot. I think the nervousness of the Miami Heat is normal and expected. And if they're going to get over it, they've got to maybe break the defense down a little bit with some passing and some movement.
Smith in the post, got Jordan in the air. Now Grant Long. And Jordan another rebound. And again, the Bulls looking to score in a hurry. Paxson pulls up. On the rebound, a loose ball foul whistled against Chicago. Scottie Pippen. So the Miami Heat 0 for 3 to start out, but Chicago only 1 for 4.
I see a little swagger on the faces of the Chicago Bulls. Like maybe they've got some preconceived notions about this game.
Long missing. Jordan ahead to Pippen. A quick punch into Horace Grant, and Miami comes up with its second steal. Brian Shaw to the hoop. And the Heat have their first playoff points ever.
That'll make them feel better. That'll loosen everybody up, and they'll get their confidence.
9.5 minutes left to go in the first quarter. John Paxson with 10 on the shot clock. Michael Jordan over Rice. Book it. Michael Jordan had back problems. He injured his back on the first play of the game, the final game of the regular season against the Pistons.
Well, this is a matchup inside. They're trying to take advantage of the fact that John Paxson is guarding Brian Shaw inside. And the backup, B.J. Armstrong, they'll also be a big advantage for the Miami Heat. They seem to want to go inside, take advantage of that.
We talked about that with Kevin Lockery today at the shoot-around. Jordan missing after hanging the shot up there, and the ball out of bounds. It belongs to Miami.
I thought that Kevin in the shoot-around downplayed that. He also downplayed the fact that they might post up Steve Smith as well.
It's Smith at the controls against Jordan. Quick drive by Smith, got bumped, count the basket. And the Miami Heat with the early lead.
Well, Steve Smith is some kind of rookie coming off a very difficult year. You see how he finishes the drive there? That's a good sign when a rookie can finish. When he finishes in the playoff, it's a better sign.
In the regular season, Smith was a 75% free throw shooter. That three-point play puts the Heat in front 7-4. Scottie Pippen against Rice, and he is fouled. Pippen to shoot 2. Glenn Rice on the foul. That's the first foul whistled against the Heat.
Well, J.D., I think that's the matchup that's going to be most troublesome for the Miami Heat, only because it's their top scorer. It's their interior leader. It's their inspirational leader. It's the guy that they're going to count on to put up a lot of points. He had a game against Orlando to get this team into the playoffs where he almost single-handedly carried them on their backs. He looked in the mirror the night before and said, hey, look, I want this team in the playoffs. I guess I'm going to have to be the man. And he came up with 46 big ones against Orlando.
Pippen and Jordan, who lead the Bulls in scoring, have all of the Chicago points to this point. Shaw turns it in. Nice drive by Brian Shaw. He's got 6 for the Heat. Scottie Pippen around a Cartwright screen. Cycli switches out. The Bulls punch into the mismatch. Cartwright over Rice. Actually leaned on him.
Just as Kevin Lockery told us, it's going to be single coverage inside on the post. He's not going to be trapping and having long rotations out of those traps.
Quick drive by Smith. The ball punched outside, out of bounds to the Bulls with 7:47 left. Miami claiming that it was the Bulls who touched it last. And they win the argument.
Oh, good for David Jones. He went over there and overruled the call. That's a good sign.
So the Heat with the 1-point lead. Smith guarded by Jordan. This has not been a quick start by the defending champs. But in the head-to-head meetings this year, the Heat were very competitive in the first quarter of their 4 games. An offensive foul whistled against Brian Shaw.
Oh, my. I see why Brian Shaw is not happy. That was like a college flop. I hate to see that call.
That's it.
We'll have them flopping all over.
And the Bulls in possession, needing a hoop to get the lead. 4 of 10 for the Heat. Chicago 3 of 7 from the field. The Bulls on the perimeter looking inside and finding Jordan out front. Ronnie Cycli, the Heat rebound. Steve Smith guarded by Paxson. Cycli against Cartwright. Ronnie Cycli off the glass, and Miami steps out to a 3-point advantage.
Well, Ronnie Cycli is the kind of center that can give Bill Cartwright problems. He can score inside. He's got the quick turnaround off the glass. He can go outside and shoot.
Super pass by Cartwright. Jordan missed, but drew the foul. He'll shoot 2 after this timeout. 6:51 left to go in the opening quarter. The Heat by 3. Here in Chicago Stadium, it's the upstart Heat finding themselves out to a 3-point advantage. Early in the game, 18,676 looking on.
Well, in all honesty, I thought I detected a little swagger on the countenances of the Bulls. A little overconfidence, maybe a little extra shake and bake, thinking things going to be easy. That the defense by the Heat wouldn't be there, but it was. They're going to have to work for their baskets, and I think the Heat has come out and clearly demonstrated that they're going to do that, and they're here to stay for the duration.
Kevin Lockery has made, I think, a major decision here at this point. With 2 fouls, he's leaving Rice in the game. With 6:51 left in the quarter. Michael Jordan gets another. He can bring the Bulls to within 1.
Well, there's a couple of theories on that. One is you want to get him out immediately, and then you can get him back in the second quarter and then take him out when he gets to third. He may decide to play him all the way up until he gets to third, because he gets 3 in this half anyway.
I think it underscores his thinking that they must have a good first quarter. And so far, things are going well for them. Here's Smith against Jordan. Shot clock is at 5. The shot clocks and game clocks working at both ends. That's Glenn Rice. His first 2 points, and the Heat in front by 3.
Well, that was unbelievable. He shot that shot and never reached down to cock it. He's got such strong wrists. He shot it with the ball over his head. It's like a volleyball tap.
Here's Jordan on the pirouette, and Cartwright is open. Shaw around a Cycli screen. Now to Cycli. He's a little high off the glass, and Cycli with a foul as he took down Horace Grant. 3 team fouls on the Heat. Ronnie Cycli with his first.
Oh, that's a good aggressive foul. He went after the ball. It was clearly a foul. Horace Grant took a good shot.
On a punch out of that Miami backcourt. 6 of those points from Brian Shaw. Cartwright finds Pippen, but Scottie Pippen lost the handle.
One of the things Kevin Loughery told us at the shoot-around was he wasn't going to get rid of his transition game. He was going to keep it in there, but I haven't seen much of it as of yet. But then there haven't been too many opportunities.
Glenn Rice against Pippen. A 3-try by Rice. Book it. Glenn Rice with the last 5 for the Heat. They open up a 4-point lead. Pippen making his move on Rice. Horace Grant over Long. Grant gets it back. He's relentless on the offensive boards, but it's Long with the rebound, and Miami looking to extend.
Well, Grant Long could easily be a candidate for the most improved player in the NBA this year. You can make a strong case. He's improved his stats in every category.
Smith off the drive and a foul called. Scottie Pippen with his second. And let's see how Phil Jackson plays it.
I don't see any movement on the bench down there. That's interesting that he's electing to play it as liberally as he is.
A sluggish start by the defending champs. Jordan the steal. Paxson ahead to Pippen. Blowing past Rice. Chicago defensively, they are so good in transition. Or they can turn that steal into a quick 2. Now Shaw doubled. Long to Cycli. Good patience, good recognition by the Heat.
See, the more that you do against the Chicago Bulls that is not predictable, the better off you're going to be.
Jordan's alley-oop hits the glass. He'll get a shot attempt. Grant Long scoring on the break. And the Heat back to a 6-point lead. Scottie Pippen under the Grant. There have been a couple of major defensive breakdowns by the Heat. The Bulls have had guys under the basket. Pippen juggled a pass away that would have been a dunk.
Well, it looks like it's the Chicago Bulls that are a little tight and not the Miami Heat, which is a major surprise.
Here's Rice over Pippen. And Horace Grant the rebound. A hoop makes it a 2-point game. Paxson dancing on the dribble.
I'm really surprised they don't give Scottie Pippen the ball, clear out for him, and let him take Glenn Rice off the dribble.
It was Jordan over Shaw instead, and Jordan has 6.
And it really wouldn't matter who's guarding Glenn Rice. Why not clear aside for whoever Glenn Rice is guarding and take it to him?
Kevin Loughery takes time with a little over 3 minutes left in the first quarter.
What makes the Chicago defense effective? Anytime you're doing something predictable as a simple low post pass, they know it's coming. Now they can take advantage of their speed and quickness and their athleticism and their reputation. There's Michael stepping around, getting a steal. Ball's out to John Paxson, pushed up, nice easy transition basket. And that's why it happened.
Opening night elsewhere in the East, the Knicks and the Pistons in Madison Square Garden, and New York with the early lead in the first quarter. Miami the 2-point lead. Glenn Rice under heavy pressure, and Bobby Hansen, who's in for Pippen, plays it ahead to Jordan. Cycli rebounding the Jordan miss.
Glenn Rice on that last trip missed Ronnie Cycli wide open over on the wing. He's got to hit the open man.
Inside it's Rice against Paxson. Jordan the block as he recovered, knowing that Rice wanted to post. It was Hansen, I'm sorry, that he had posted
Well,
up.
this is going to be the next step up for Glenn Rice. He's going to have to learn to read the double teams. He clearly missed it that time. There's going to be an open man when there's that many people coming, and he's going to have to learn to go from inside in the post to outside on the perimeter on the weak side. The old inside, weak side pass, which the Chicago Bulls do very well.
Kevin Edwards is in for the Heat. A 3-try by Smith, and the long rebound corralled by Grant Long. Kevin Edwards in the lineup replacing Brian Shaw. Long for three. Rimming no. And the tip is in by Smith.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the size of the Miami Heat guards, 6'6" and 6'8", can be a factor in this game.
Cartwright drops it for Jordan. Jordan against Smith. Horace Grant, the offensive rebound. Loose ball to Jordan. Jordan off the drive. 8 points for him, a 2-point Miami lead. Smith around the Grant long screen. Now Edwards off the drive, shooting on Paxson. Cartwright juggled the rebound away to Cycli, who missed the dunk, but a foul on Cartwright.
Well, J.D., it's very interesting. Anytime Miami comes down, tries to run a set play, a simple post-up, or a double pick down, anytime they do that, they're not effective. But when they do things in an unpredictable way, as you just saw Kevin Edwards take that shot, not as predictable, chance for offensive rebounds, Ronnie Cycli ends up on the free throw line.
Cycli is 73% free throw shooter during the regular season. 4-year pro out of Syracuse.
Well, Ronnie Cycli's 5, 7, 8 free throw percentage for his lifetime is dramatically improved this year, shooting almost 74%.
As are the Heat. They have been near the bottom in their first 3 years in the league, but this year they rank very high in team free throw percentage. It's Cartwright open, right back to Jordan. And Ronnie Cycli the rebound. Michael Jordan, 3 out of 9. Kevin Edwards launching long. And the rebound to Jordan. He's got a run out.
Well, I'd like to see Kevin Edwards show a little more patience. He's not one of their best percentage shooters from the perimeter. He's only a 45% shooter. They got to break the defense down a little bit, be a little more unpredictable. Let that guy shoot a little bit if you want.
It was Rice over Hansen. And now Chicago looking 2 for 1, and Jordan zigs and zags to the hoop.
I look for Kevin to get a timeout pretty quick here.
I don't know. They got 33 seconds left in the quarter.
He almost did, but he thought better of it.
Now it's Miami with a quick shot. They could do it, and a foul on Horace Grant. The Bulls are over the limit. So actually the Heat, with 2.8 difference between the shot clock and the game clock, will get it again on 24-second possession. Smith with 6.
You know, you talked about how the Miami Heat has improved their free throw shooting. One of the ways they improved it was by subtraction. One of their worst free throw shooters was Sherman Douglas. He now plays for the Boston Celtics. And the other guy, and he took the bulk of their free throws when he played for them and was their leading scorer last year. And the other guy was Ronnie Cycli, who took the next most amount of free throws for the Miami Heat, and he dramatically improved his free throw shooting. Therefore, the whole team's a better free throw shooting team.
Smith with 7. Miami by 1. 2.8 difference, remember, between the shot clock and the game clock, and 17 to shoot. The Heat to steal. Smith on the run out, and Miami in front by 3.
Well, the long arms of Steve Smith can be a factor. This guy is some kind of athlete. He's come back off a knee surgery, the death of his mother. He's had a difficult rookie year. The 5th leading scoring rookie in the league, and he's #1 in assists for all rookies.
And now he'll have to deal with Michael Jordan with 6 seconds left. Paxson left open. Sidesteps Ogg. Ogg maybe got a piece of it. Hansen, the turnaround shot. And after 1, we've got a surprise here in Chicago Stadium. Through 12 minutes anyway, Kevin Lockree's Heat up by 3.
Showmanship.
Excellent start by the Miami Heat. They lead it by 3 after 1.
Well, this is a defensive technique that looks like a single individual play, but actually it's a 2-man defensive play. He holds them, He lets him go, and he comes around behind and backwashes. Let's watch Steve Smith reach around with the long arms. There's his partner ready to get the ball. That's a two-man plan defensive play called a backwash.
Some first quarter for Steve Smith. 9 points, 4 assists, and 2 steals. This is Alan Hogg, and Purdue a block. Armstrong has it for Chicago. Pippen, who's back in, playing with 2 fouls, is guarded by Keith Askins. Off the cut, Pippen score the goal and a foul.
Oh my, Scottie Pippen took some serious hang time. Looked like he might have picked up an offensive foul here, but the way he holds his arm in, watch this. You make the call on that one.
They made it on Alan
He has
Hogg.
a way, J.D., of kind of holding it in just a little bit. If you extend it, they're going to call the offensive foul. If you hold it in, you got a good chance of not getting the call.
Chicago extending the defense, and Smith gives it up to Kessler. Kessler trapped shy of the timeline, and a 10-second violation. You can watch a lot of NBA basketball, and you won't see that call very often. Coming up next on TNT, the Clippers and the Jazz kick off in that Western Conference matchup. That's only the 3rd turnover for Miami. The Knicks continue to lead the Pistons in the second quarter, and that is a low-scoring game, as everyone would expect. They're just beginning the second quarter there.
Yeah, it's kind of a pointless series, isn't it?
They may have final scores in the 50s in that series.
Indeed.
Scottie Pippen to Jordan in the post against Kevin Edwards and company.
Well, there's no
Michael with
defense for
14.
that. They sent the double team. They got some size on them. Here's a big problem right here. They've got to be able to handle the extended pressure after the made basket and made free throws. They want to talk about it.
Kevin Lockery taking a 20-second timeout with 10:49 left to go in the first half. The Chicago Bulls with 5 straight points here to start the second quarter, and thus this 2-point lead. And now we understand it is a full timeout. 29-27 Bulls. Point lead for Chicago. We're early in the second quarter. We've seen Michael Jordan at his best, Dick.
Well, why is Michael Jordan able to take advantage of the size of Alan Hogg coming over on the double team? He smells it coming, see it? And he turns and fades towards the baseline, negating the 7'1" size of Alan Hogg. That's instinctual. It's brilliant.
He's got 14 points in the contest, all of the Chicago points from the backcourt. And Miami with 15. Brian Shaw and Steve Smith have the bulk of them.
There's an isolation on B.J. Armstrong.
Kevin Edwards scoring.
And that's the one thing that Kevin Edwards can do. It's the thing that's kept him in the league, his ability to take the ball to the basket. He's one of the best sleepers on the Miami Heat roster.
Of course, he played his college basketball here in Chicago. At DePaul, this is Scottie Pippen. He's had a rocky start here in game 1 of the playoffs. Keith Askins with Pippen backing away to front on Cycli. And so Askins nails the 3. He's not a bad 3-point shooter, 34%. Miami Heat not intimidated in the least. Michael Jordan for the dunk. It's a 1-point lead for the Heat this trip. Steve Smith at the controls. Jordan guarding him. Smith working around a pick by Long. Askins to Cycli. Askins again. 2 in a row for Keith Askins. It's a 4-point lead for the Heat, and Chicago Stadium is very quiet right now.
Well, what's interesting is they have the matchup. Will Perdue guarding Ronnie Cycli, guarding Ronnie Cycli, and they're looking to go inside to Cycli, and so they play Perdue behind and drop off Askins on the perimeter, and he answered by knocking 2 perimeter jump shots down.
At the conclusion of tonight's game, we will be selecting the Budweiser player of the game.
There's that size on the double team.
Pippen right back into Grant. That's about 3 or 4 times tonight. Chicago has had a player wide open under the basket.
Well, the reason for that is because Miami is double teaming Michael Jordan. They're not dropping down from the top to cover the rotation of the size that they're sending. Your size is on the baseline. It's going across. Someone has to drop down to cover.
Keith Askins is on fire. He's got 8 points in the contest. 2 threes, and now that perimeter shot. Missed steal by Edwards. Jordan after the fake. And Perdue trying to keep it alive, a foul call.
There's the double team we're talking about. There's that inside, weak side pass that we mentioned earlier. Got mixed up on the rotations in the matchup, and the strong Horace Grant inside is able to find himself with a free one.
Armstrong guarded by Bimbo Coles, who has come in. Jordan off the drive, a punch into Grant again.
See, most people don't realize how strong Horace Grant is. This trainer says that he can jam an 18-pound medicine ball with a 360 spin. That's unbelievable.
Cycli is stopped by Perdue. It's still a live ball. Edwards. Short. Long gives it up to Askins. And now Edwards off the drive, and Armstrong the steal. Chicago needs a hoop to tie. 7:50 left in the first half. The Bulls have led a few times, but briefly. It's been all Miami so far. Tough shot for Perdue. Horace Grant draws the foul, and he'll be on the line. If it's on Cycli, it's his third. It's on Keith Askins.
Well, Horace Grant takes the role of being the person that sits in the third chair on this team behind Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. But right now, that third chair is a major factor in them staying in this basketball game right now. Scottie Pippen kind of quiet. Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. But it is not enough right now.
By the way, Ronnie Cycli has only 1 foul. The Knicks with a 7-point lead at home in the second quarter against Detroit. Here the Chicago Bulls draw even at 37. Horace Grant with 8. Michael Jordan out of the game. Craig Hodges is in. Miami throws ahead against the pressure. Cycli over Perdue. The thing about the Heat, they understand that pressing defense, and they don't stop once they beat the initial press. They continue on to the basket.
Well, JD, that's the best way to play it. Anytime a team presses you, you should punish them for pressing.
What a great shot by Perdue.
Will! Where do you think that one out?
I don't know, but he'll be talking about it tomorrow on his 900 number. Bimbo Coles nearly double dribbled, and a foul was called. Will Perdue on the foul. First team foul against Chicago. Bimbo Coles, an 82% free throw shooter. Averaged over 10 points a game in the regular season. Boy, this is a young club. As you see, Bimbo Coles, second-year pro.
Well, when Bimbo Coles came out of college, he was a huge scorer in college. You remember he played on the Olympic team, and he was a player that everyone thought was going to have a nice, easy entrance into the NBA. Struggled big time. Looked like he almost didn't belong in the league. But this year, he's improved in almost every statistical category. And he's a tough kid. At one time, when they were playing out west, he got a broken nose. He flew back to Miami and then flew back to the West Coast and only missed 1 game. Played 81 games this year.
This is B.J. Armstrong, and he's fouled by Askins. The second foul on Keith Askins. The Heat over the limit, and Chicago on the free throw line with 6:54 left to go in the half. And the one thing we see about this Miami club, we talk about the youth. Oftentimes, Dick, when the expansion takes place, the Knicks lead now is 11 over Detroit. Oftentimes when expansion takes place, the team coming into the league says, well, we're going to build with youth. And then they win 15 games that first year. And usually the youth movement is out the window. But a credit to the Heat. They stayed right with the plan from day one.
Well, they got one of the wisest, most sage advisors in all of the NBA in Billy Cunningham. He clearly knows what he's doing. And he cannot be deterred from his path. He makes his own decisions. He knew what he wanted to do. He had a plan. He stuck with it. He made some adjustments. Some things that they planned didn't turn out quite the way they wanted. I know they thought Alex Kessler was going to be a better player than he turned out to be because they worked hard to get him. That hasn't panned out, although the book is not finished on Alex Kessler either.
B.J. Armstrong shooting for the tie. Scott Williams has checked in for Chicago, replacing Will Perdue. The Bulls haven't missed in 9 free throw attempts. Kevin Edwards guarded by Hodges. Glenn Rice against Pippen. The outside shot for Long, and Livingston the rebound for Chicago. Scott Williams didn't have the angle to the basket. And now he takes a 20-second timeout. 6:31 left in the half, 15 on the shot clock. Phil Jackson's club looking for a lead. They haven't led very often, nor by very many tonight.
Well, J.D., I'm impressed with 2 things. One is the transition defense of the Miami Heat. When they lose possession of the ball on a missed shot at the other end, they're getting back very well. And not only getting back, they're matching up and matching up high. And the other thing that's impressive is when they are playing on the half court, they're making passes difficult. That 20-second timeout that was just called was basically called because Scott Williams had no place to pass the ball.
Don't forget, coming up at halftime, the Prudential halftime report, Ernie Johnson and Jim Lynam in the Atlanta studios. Highlights of Detroit at New York, and a preview of Game 1 between the Clippers and the Utah Jazz coming next tonight on TNT. They love the Bulls in Chicago, and why not? We showed you at the beginning of the game how impressive the Bulls have been the last 2 years.
I would love to have a tape recorder in the Bulls locker room at halftime. It should be very interesting.
And Miami will get a severe taste, I'm sure, at the start of the 3rd quarter of whether it had its effect. Livingston lifting the Bulls into only their 3rd lead of the night.
And lift is what he does when it gets to be playoff time.
He was a big factor in the Bulls' sweep of the Pistons last year in the conference finals and their win over the Lakers in the NBA championship.
Well, Bimbo Coles just showed us some of that offensive prowess that he came into the league with. A nice penetrating move right over B.J. Armstrong.
That's his first field goal. He's got 4 points. Armstrong guarded by Long in the switch. And now B.J. trying to find the mismatch. And there it is. Scott Williams in on Bimbo Coles. Coles with the foul, and Scott Williams shoots 2.
See, one of the philosophies that you want to have when you have a real bad mismatch inside is exactly what Bimbo Coles did. You got a big-time mismatch. You got a power guy inside on a guard. So what you tell the guard to do is go for the steal. But what happened is Scott Williams put his left arm out or his right arm out and tried to hold him off, and that caused Bimbo Coles to get the foul.
Michael Jordan back for the Bulls, and Craig Hodges is out. 5:48 left to go in the half.
Sometimes when you have those mismatches inside, if the smaller guy doesn't go for the steal and he settles in behind or gets on the high or low side, you end up giving up a 3-pointer. So it's a pretty good philosophy.
Well, the Bulls had made 9 straight free throws prior to those 2 misses by Williams, and Miami with an opportunity to regain the lead. Ryan Shaw back in. He's at the controls, guarded by Jordan. Coles pressured by Armstrong. Grant Long against Livingston, and there's Rice open, but blocked again. Scott Williams on the second one, and a jump ball has been called. You talked before the game, Dick, when we were standing out on the floor, you said Scott Williams is big.
Well, I didn't realize the size of Scott Williams
as we see Glenn Rice go up inside, and he gets blocked from behind and then blocked again. No goaltending there. They are going to give him a jump ball on the first block.
That was Pippen. Scott Williams going out. Bill Cartwright back in for Chicago. 5:29 left to go in the half. Rice and Pippen. Pippen controls to Livingston. Jordan guarded by Shaw. Michael, quick move to the hoop and finishes lefty. 18 points.
Creativity. Thy name is Michael.
The Bulls with their fourth two-point lead of the game. That was Pippen the steal. Livingston, Pippen, and Jordan. And now the Bulls have their biggest lead.
I mean, if there was a force meter on dunks, he just broke the meter. Timeout.
A wise choice by Kevin Lockery. This is a 20. Chicago Stadium roars to life. That's the way this Bulls team is. They can score in bunches. And that's exactly what's happened here as they move out to a 4-point lead. 4:46 left to go in the first half.
Well, what's happening is that the Dobermans are being sent out to go to work. And that's what causes this kind of easy basket. Look at the force of that ball as it went through the net. I think it got a little help as it bounced off of Michael's shoulder. But he was sending a message with that dunk.
Michael started slowly, had only one field goal in the first 9 minutes. But he's online now. 20 points for him in the game. Rice pressured by Pippen. Now it's Shaw. Jordan checks in. Oh, under pressure, a foul called. Brian Shaw on the free throw line. New York continuing to lead Detroit. They've got 41 points on the board already before halftime. That foul on Michael Jordan is first, and Brian Shaw, 79% free thrower, hits the first free throw attempt tonight for him.
Well, you know, normally in the NBA, they say first team to 100 wins.
In the Detroit-New York series, what is it?
First team to 85 wins.
The two free throws for Shaw.
Now a little down-court pressure by Miami.
That cuts the Bulls' lead to 2.
This is a 2-2-1 zone trap.
Normally the Bulls handle pressure very well. In fact, they do a lot of three-point shooting out of it. Here's Jordan. Wow!
Everyone in this arena fell back in their seats. You did, I did. The whole scores table fell back in their seats. When he decides to elevate his game, he says, "Get out of my way." Oh, my Lord.
Ronnie Cycli on the foul. Jordan's got 23. And Cycli has his second foul now. Chicago's lead is 5. Glenn Rice over Livingston. Livingston may have got a piece. Pippen the rebound. And Bimbo Coles knocked it out of bounds. Chicago Stadium, the site tonight as the Bulls begin defense of their NBA championship. And Dick Versace, it was a sluggish start, but we are now seeing the Bulls bearing their horns, so to speak.
Well, J.D., the thing that kept Miami in the game early was their good transition defense. The fact that the Chicago Bulls came out with a little swagger, a little passive defensively, but now they're really stepping it up.
Paxson looking for Jordan. He's on fire. It's the first miss for Michael in a while. And Brian Shaw right back for the Heat. Jordan knocked it away. It's out of bounds to Miami with 15 to shoot. Everything now the Bulls are contesting. Glenn Rice against Pippen. Steve Smith right back to Rice. Good play.
Oh, good out-of-bounds play. Stepped the inbounder back inside. Nobody picked him up. Wide open inside.
About 3.5 minutes left in the half. Livingston takes up slack. Came up empty at the basket and then gets hit with a loose ball foul in the process.
Well, I think Cliff was a little frustrated that he missed that shot. He actually made a nice move, put a little dipsy-do on it. Not really the way he makes his living, but it was a good finish for him. It just didn't go down, then he got frustrated.
Horace Grant back in for Livingston.
I think Phil Jackson was a little frustrated, too. He wanted a basket on that trip.
Smith against Jordan. Smith from 20. Rimming no, and Pippen controls the rebound. Scottie Pippen under to Grant.
Yeah, I talked before about how they got back in transition and how they matched up. That time they got the bodies back, but they didn't match up.
Scottie Pippen has his 7th assist, and Horace Grant is getting rich hanging around the basket. Cycli. A pitch out to Long. What an acrobatic shot for Grant Long. He has 4.
Well, Michael Jordan came across the lane and made him change that shot, but he responded. Grant Long, big-time basket.
The Heat hanging right in, only down 3. 10 on the shot clock. Jordan against Rice.
This will be his 3rd foul unless he lets him go.
It's out of bounds. Last touch by Miami, and a timeout taken. 2:21 left in the half. 52-49 Chicago. Game 1 in the Clippers Jazz series with Pete Van Wieren and Jack Gibbons ready for the call there.
Sometimes a player just has to take his entire team on his own talented broad shoulders. Look at this finish by Michael. Michael knew that the team was in trouble, that he needed baskets, and they needed inspirational baskets. He provided.
Michael Jordan with 12 points in the first quarter, 11 in the second for his 23 points so far.
Interesting thing that Kevin Lockery decides to leave Glenn Rice in with the 2 fouls early, gets him in and out a little bit, plays him quite a bit in his first half. He's 3 for 10 for 7 points. Playing very tentatively offensively. He's afraid to pick up the foul.
Chicago to come in with 6 on the shot clock. It's Pippen to trigger. A lob to Paxson. Now Jordan from just inside of three-point country, and he has 25.
Well, the thing that's amazing is how can you have Michael Jordan that open? I mean, you must switch out. You must get on his tail and follow him. You just can't let him be that open.
It looked like the Heat really committed a lot of people to following the ball, Dick. Rice gets the dunk, and I think they did so because they knew the Bulls were up against the shot clock a little bit, and they thought maybe they could get the ball stopped. But the Bulls were able to get it to the open man. Cartwright, Cycli on him. Jordan tips to Grant. And now it's Jordan again. He's in for an Astro-like performance. He's got 27.
Well, J.D., the problem with Michael Jordan when you're trying to defend him is that you got to make him shoot the jump shots. Because if he gets airborne and flying in there, I mean, all those baskets are too inspirational. The problem is he's knocking down the jump shots. That ball is like on a rope right now. He's shooting ropes.
Brian Shaw and the Bulls quickly doubled as Miami wanted to host John Paxson.
Chicago personal foul on John Paxson.
Paxson gets hit with the foul.
The team's 4.
4 team fouls. First in the last 2 minutes. 1:06 left. The Knicks have opened up a 13-point lead on the Pistons. Outside shot for Smith. Steve Smith with 11. That's his first 2 points of the second quarter, however.
Look at the match matchup inside with those two new prototype power forwards, Grant Long
And Grant.
Horace Grant.
Here's Cartwright in deep on Cycli. Now Paxson sidesteps Shaw. First 2 points for John Paxson.
That's how he makes his living, spot-up shooting.
Miami in a hurry. They get hit with an offensive foul. They were trying to go 2 for 1, it looked like.
And I might add all the other little sacrifices that he has to make to help his team win as he picked up that charge. Second one of the night.
And that's the 3rd foul on Brian Shaw. Kevin Lockery getting him out of the game. Also, Cycli goes out. Ogg is in. 7-2, Alan Ogg, number 53.
It looks like the Bulls, they had a chance if they wanted to get a quick 2 for 1. They decided not to.
16 on the shot clock, about 7 difference. This is Cartwright, had it chopped away. Smith up court to Coles, who lobs to Glenn Rice. A quick release. Rimming, though, and Scottie Pippen the rebound with 10 seconds left.
Got to get the ball stopped there. They're pretty well matched up now.
Pippen driving hard to the hoop.
You got to make him take the jump shot over you there. Back off.
The long up-court attempt wide to the right by Smith. And at the half, the Bulls have their biggest lead at 7. And Chicago Stadium loves it so far.
The 1992 NBA playoffs are brought to you by Infiniti, who invite you to guest drive their full line of performance luxury automobiles, and by Coca-Cola Classic. You can't beat the real thing.
Chicago Stadium, it's the Bulls by 7 over the Miami Heat at halftime. Jim Durham with Dick Versace here at courtside, and we are joined by Magic Johnson. Magic, a little more competitive game than a lot of people thought it would be.
Well, Miami came out and said, look, we're here to play. We're not scared. We're not intimidated. And we're just going to play our game. We're going to play as hard as we can. And you can see the result. They're right in the ball game.
Yeah, I thought I saw a little swagger, though, on the face of the Chicago Bulls. Looked like they had little preconceived notions.
Well, I think that they thought they were going to come in and dominate them. And this team, you have to play this team. What we tried to do when I was in the playoffs, we tried to dominate the early opponent.
Speaking of dominating, tell us about what you see right here.
Well, here in Michael Jordan, they run this play all the time for him. He comes, you know, down through the baseline. And Glenn Rice thought he was going to switch, but he didn't. And he's now looking for him. And you know what you can do when Michael Jordan is wide open. 20-footer all net.
That's the same shot you shoot in warm-ups, isn't it?
Exactly. Here you got Pippen coming down right to the airman. And he takes off just to show everybody, I'm right here. I love that.
All right, Magic. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you in Barcelona.
You got it.
Great to see you, Irvin.
Okay. Good to see you, Coach.
This 7-point lead for the Bulls happens to be their biggest of the game. It was Miami for the most part. In the first half, the Bulls only led briefly, but then with Michael Jordan showing the way, the Bulls were able to crank it up defensively, and they spurted out to that 7-point lead. You can see in the second quarter it was pretty much all Chicago, 71% to 53% for the Heat. From 3-point territory, Miami with the only 3-point field goal so far in 6 attempts. The Bulls have yet to attempt one. And when we began our telecast tonight, Dick Versace said that's one of the chinks in the armor of the Bulls. 1, they don't shoot many, and 2, they don't shoot that well. Here's Rice against Horace Grant. Beats him with a nice move, and Rice is in double figures with 11th.
Well, I think you're going to see Glenn Rice express himself a little more offensively. I think he was playing quite tentatively in the first half because of the foul trouble that he was in. They're going right at him right now.
With Michael Jordan. Left that one a little short. Brian Shaw keeping a wary eye out for Jordan. Now Smith against Paxson. Cycli against Cartwright, double up, Shaw for 3. And Pippen the rebound.
You know, I'm a little surprised. Ronnie Cycli gets the ball in the post, and all he's done is look to pass the ball back out. Hasn't expressed himself inside like he should.
That guy has expressed himself on occasion. 29 points for Jordan. And Chicago back up by 7.
Well, I think Magic, you know, did a nice overall overview of the game as it went in the first half. It was a game where Chicago came out with swagger. Miami came out much more poised than you would have expected. And finally, Michael Jordan decided enough is enough. I'm taking over 27 big ones in the first half.
Scottie Pippen left it short. And now Shaw coming back the other way. Pippen hasn't been a real factor offensively tonight. Rice for 3. Cycli the rebound. But Scottie has done some other things. He has 7 assists and 4 rebounds to his credit. Smith working around the Grant Long screen, and it's Brian Shaw from the perimeter. And Shaw has 10. Kevin Lockree's club won't go away in this first ever playoff encounter for the Miami Heat. John Paxson gives it up to Jordan. The shot clock at 8. Jordan against Brian Shaw. Kings the shot up there. Horace Grant a wild tip, and Grant Long controls. And the Heat looking to cut it to 3 this trip.
He's doing a great job of playing the Chicago offense, and they're reducing it to the one-on-one moves that are left for them to take advantage of. And the only guy that's really consistently doing it is Michael Jordan. So it's kind of getting back to same old, but same old ain't that bad.
Glenn Rice with his 3rd foul. You know, we forgot to mention that Rice had the toenail removed from his big toe on his right foot a couple days ago. He had it stepped on in practice. So while that is not a serious injury, it does create extreme pain.
You know, someone was talking to me before the game, and they said, "Oh, nice move."
That's what they said. 31 points for Jordan.
That isn't what they said. But what's happening is the passing lanes are being taken away, and that's why Michael Jordan is able to get in so close to the basket. And once he gets in there, it's a matter of get up in the air, have a cup of tea, 2 lumps of sugar, please, and I'll just put the ball in the basket while I'm there.
And Brian Shaw gets assessed his 4th personal foul. Jordan with 32.
Now, you talked about the Chicago Bulls not shooting a lot of threes. They did shoot 454. Mainly they shoot threes for spacing. As they're having trouble with the press.
Pippen to Jordan. And it's a 10-point Chicago lead. And the Heat are feeling some heat. Jordan knocks the ball out of bounds. Scottie Pippen with 9 assists. This is the early part of the 3rd quarter that we talked about in the first half, and how the Heat would react when the Bulls began to turn it up. Smith missing. Cycli fakes on the follow and gets the jam. Ronnie Cycli has 9.
One of the things that the Heat is doing against the press is they're having their power forward take the ball out of bounds, sliding him into the middle and having him try to break the press. Problem is, if he gets caught in the trap down there, it's not very adroit. He can't attack.
Cartwright is fouled by Cycli.
One of the most effective ways to break the Chicago press is to use your 2 guards and your small forward down against the press on the deep side of it. Put your big guys all the way down, and then once you can get the ball in the middle, it's usually going to be in the hands of a ball handler, JD, and then that guy can take it right to the basket.
Bill Cartwright has had a real struggle at the free throw line during the regular season. Hits his first attempt of the playoffs. Cartwright was 60% during the regular season. Look at Shaw and Smith front Jordan and Pippen. The Heat well aware of that play the Bulls like to use when they flash those 2 guys to the basket on free throw attempts.
You see the struggle you have when you have a big man trying to advance the ball against the press. You can't punish the press when you have a big man trying to handle it. You can get it up sometimes, but then it's like, oh, breathe easy.
Right. 6 to shoot. Cycli left it short. Look at Jordan snap at that rebound. Penn State clock users turning loose against the Dobermans. They rip and tear at the ball when they got their game going.
Well, I'm afraid that Swagger has turned to daggers.
Oh, Cartwright making a solid move out of the post. And Kevin Lockery is going to have to burn a timeout. Chicago Stadium revs up as the Bulls go up by
12. The 1992.
When a team presses you, you want to punish them for pressing. But when you have your big men handling the ball like the Heat does, they can't split that trap. You need to be able to split the trap with a ball handler. No ball handler, steal, give it up.
10 on the shot clock. Jordan, a missed steal. Smith off penetration. Oh, a big basket for the Heat. Steve Smith with 13.
Steve Smith showing a great deal of poise and cool for a rookie.
And now it's Brian Shaw knocking Jordan's pass away with 16 to shoot. Chicago to inbound. Jordan against Shaw. Paxson over the Pippen pick. And Cartwright set one as well.
Kevin Lockery standing over on the sideline saying switch out. He wanted the bottom man on the double screen to switch out and take John Paxson. You can't give him that open shot. Defender ran right into the double.
Smith from the outside, 2 buckets short. Steve Smith, and that's a 3. 16 points for it. Alley-oop for Jordan. Michael inside on Shaw. And now the Heat trying to string 3 hoops together. Long feeds Rice. They do. They get the 3 in a row. And Glenn Rice with that basket brings the Heat to within 7.
Glenn Rice got one of the sweetest jump shots I ever saw when he was a college senior at Michigan. I thought he'd come right into the league and light it up. He didn't. Made only 17 threes in his first year. This year he made 155.
Horace Grant knocked it away from Long. It's still loose and out of bounds to Chicago. Credit Horace Grant with a hustling play.
Absolutely, JD. Unbelievable. Horace Grant, the workhorse, the blue-collar guy, the third chair member, laying down, out of the play, still slapping, scratching, crawling, trying to keep it alive, gets lucky, knocks it off a Heat player, keeps the possession for his team.
Exactly 6 minutes remaining in the third. Jordan against Shaw. Grant guarded by Cycli. Now it's Jordan against Smith. A rimming good. Michael Jordan with 36.
He's got them all, the power dunks, the meter breakers, and the criers. They're all falling for him.
It's his house. 9-point lead for Chicago with 5:30 left, third quarter. Game 1 in this Eastern Conference Series. It's been much more competitive game than people thought. Here's Long on the drive, gets snuffed, gets it back though, stayed with it nicely, again Long. And so at both ends, Dick, we see these 2 hard-working power forwards have their effect.
You've got to like Grant Long. You've got to like his work ethic. You've got to like his perseverance. And he looks just like Horace Grant. Nice compliment.
But not quite as much like him as Harvey Grant. Now Jordan feeds Paxson. It's a 2, and it's good. John Paxson with 6. Michael Jordan has 6 assists to go with his 36 points. Oh, one around move to Cycli, Pippen the block, but a foul.
Now, Chicago really has not solved that high pick and roll. It has provided a lot of scoring opportunities for the Miami Heat. See the high pick and roll? Now he's free. There was no real design on what to do. Bill Cartwright moves over, and that's why you see Ronnie Cycli free inside.
Let's take a look at tonight's Chevrolet scoreboard. After this free throw by Cycli.
See, if you're going to defend the high pick and roll, the solution to it must be with the two guys out high.
Oh, New York up 23 over the Detroit Pistons in the third. Cycli lost them both, but the Bulls lost it out of bounds.
I got a fresh 24. Let's see if they run an out-of-bounds play to score, or if they come back in and run that high pick and roll again.
After seeing that Detroit-New York score, what a reversal. Everybody figured coming into this game that the Bulls would win in a blowout. Not so. But now New York is blowing out Detroit. People thought that would be closely contested. Long drops the pass and lost it to Pippen. Pippen through traffic. Jordan on the finish. Loose ball rebound. It's Miami out on the run. Grant Long and Paxson took a stab at the dribble and picked up the foul. Two fouls on Paxson. 2 team fouls on Chicago.
Well, I think it's evident at this point that Miami is not going away. They've survived some crowd involvement rallies, and they've hung in there very, very well. There's that high pick and roll again, a little baseline screen.
Shaw against Paxson. Jordan has it. Shaw quickly jumped out to stop the ball. And now Paxson being guarded by Grant Long. And Horace Grant gives it up to Paxson. Whoa, Pax got knocked down by Smith. He wanted the foul. He got the 2.
Daryl Garrison looks straight ahead.
Miami down by 11. In this third quarter, the first time Chicago's led by double figures. Cycli on the follow. Cycli with 11.
You know, look at Phil Jackson over there. He knows that they have not solved that defensively. I talked earlier about the high pick and roll has to be solved with the 2 guys that are defending out high. If you're going to wait for the guy inside picking up to solve it, you're always going to give up something juicy.
That foul was on Glenn Rice, his 4th. He goes out. Keith Askins is in. Also, Kevin Edwards coming in for Miami. And Alan Ogg replacing Cycli. And Scott Williams has come on for Chicago, replacing Horace Grant.
Well, right now, the Miami Heat has really got to play some great defense because they don't have much offense on the floor. This could be a very dangerous period of time for the Miami Heat.
Again, the Bulls go into Jordan, and again, he delivers. He's got 38. 13 of them field goals.
Turned and said something to Kevin Lockery. I don't know what it was, but they had a good relationship when Kevin coached him here in Chicago.
And corrected 17 field goals for Jordan so far in the game, and a timeout taken with 2:51 left in the third.
Okay.
I drove literally every car.
Man, what a ball game in New York. You would not expect the Knicks to be winning so handily.
Well, you know, people don't realize this, but New York had beaten Detroit 6 straight before they lost to them twice this year. And they beat, in the times that they beat them 6 straight, they had Vinnie Johnson and James Edwards. And you're just not going to have Patrick Ewing go 4 for 20 every night.
Miami down 11. 2:46 left to go in the third. Long driving on Williams. Grant Long has 8. And the Heat staying right in it. Only down by 9.
Kevin Lockery, famous for this half-court and full-court presses, is putting on a 2-2-1 zone press, trying to create some uncertainty on the case of the Bulls. What you want to do with your press is you want to say, okay, we're not going to guard you as tight, but you're not going to be able to say who exactly gets to shoot the ball.
Chicago to throw in. That foul was on Keith Askins. Jordan, a quick spin out and dunk.
Well, Alan Ogg has got to come across the lane, sacrifice his body, try to pick up a charge. You can't stand on the other side of the lane when Michael Jordan's heading for the basket. If he wants to stand and watch there, he should buy a ticket.
Three-try miss by Smith. Rebound, Scott Williams. And now Chicago with it, up 11. Michael Jordan, by the way, has 40. Here's Jordan against Smith. Sees the double team coming and just goes to the hoop. 42.
Well, there's not much you can do. The only thing you can do is you got to maybe decide that you're going to go trap him and make him give up the ball. Devin is not elected to do that. Did it early, hasn't done it much since.
Long from the foul line. Cartwright the rebound. Chicago with 13-point lead in the ball with 1:23 left in the third. Jordan around a Paxson screen. Edwards has him. Michael zips the pass off to Pippen. Shot clock at 1. Scott Williams on a bailout. And the rebound to Edwards.
Not a French pastry on that exchange.
Grant Long being guarded by Paxson. He says, clear out, let me have this little guy. Now it's Edwards off the drive and Jordan a reach-in foul. That's his second. First on the Bulls in the last 2 minutes.
See, one of the things that I really love about this Chicago team is they play the game together. They play it totally unselfishly. Right there, you saw a good example of the kind of unselfishness that exists on this team. As soon as Michael Jordan reached in and that whistle blew, Scott Williams put his hand up and said, call the foul on me.
Edwards gets another. Jordan getting a rest. Craig Hodges is in. 42 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists for Michael Jordan. Chip Schaefer, the Bulls trainer. Looks like they're wrapping a leg in ice. Chicago up 12. John Paxson at the controls, guarded by Smith. Pippen with a pick from Purdue. Now Cycli has Pippen. 8 on the clock. Hodges for 3. Rimming, though, and the rebound to Cycli. Kevin Edwards outside to Rice. Right back to Edwards. Over Paxson. And on the rebound fight, it's Cycli. Now it's out of bounds. Woodland. The Bulls have it with 14.8 left.
Well, credit Ronnie Cycli with some terrific effort there. He just couldn't get the ball down. He worked it. He was doing a yeoman's job in traffic rebounding. Got a couple bangs at it, but just couldn't get it to drop.
Bimbo Coles is on for Miami. Smith getting a rest here. And then, of course, during the timeout between quarters. Shot clock involved. 6 seconds. Paxson giving to Hodges. And Purdue with a foul with 0.6 left. After 3, it's the Bulls in front by 14.
Maybe your first.
NBA playoffs on TNT from Chicago, where the Bulls, after a sluggish start, have opened up a 14-point lead headed to the fourth.
Well, you might ask yourself, why does Michael Jordan get so open here? Well, Alan Ogg is moving over to pick up Scottie Pippen inside because he was worried about being illegal, didn't come across the lane to help, and Michael Jordan shot a warm-up dunk.
He has scored in all shapes and sizes tonight as he returns for the fourth quarter. Michael Jordan with 42 points. Scott Williams stays in. So does Purdue. In the third, Chicago outscoring the Heat 27-20.
What's interesting is Michael Jordan has all these points, but they've come in kind of a blending way. They just seem to have come in the natural flow of the game. Not that he's not asserting himself.
He works around a Purdue screen. Cycli jumps out at it. Good touch pass Hodges to Williams, and Scott Williams got banged in the air. He'll shoot 2. Cycli on the foul. Oh my, the Knicks continue to pull away from the Detroit Pistons in the fourth quarter. I would say the first team to 85 will win that one.
Right. JD, I think it's going to be a bizarre series. You might see a blowout on one court, and then you might see a blowout on another court. Neither of those teams are very consistent offensively, so they don't really know from night to night what kind of production they're going to get. You know the Detroit Pistons have to get 45, 50 out of their guards. They just can't do that every night, and they don't get it, then they're very susceptible to being beat. On the other hand, Patrick Ewing normally has to have some good nights, and if not, then the two perimeter shooters, John Starks and Mark Jackson, have to put the ball in the basket.
A free throw made by Scott Williams, the first for him after missing 3 in a row. Keith Askins on the drive, leaves it for Grant Long. And the rebound to Williams. Now it's Jordan at the controls. Good punch into Purdue.
Wonderful pass. Absolutely wonderful.
The Chicago Bulls have their biggest lead of the game at 17. We near the 11-minute mark for the fourth quarter. Kevin Edwards being chased by Scott Williams. 3 to shoot. And it's tipped in by Coles. Bimbo Coles with 6. Teaming the ball. It's Armstrong trapped, and the pass is stolen by Coles, and Hodges trying to take the foul out on the floor, gets it done.
Chicago personal foul, 14,
Watch the passing here. Michael Jordan pushes it up, gets it back, goes up, changes his mind inside. A bing pass. Bing, I'll hit you inside.
The Heat thinking that there should be free throws here, but the official saying no, the foul occurred out on the floor.
I tell you what, I've gained a lot of respect for this Miami Heat team. No matter what the score is, they've come out and played with a great deal more poise than I thought they possibly could.
And I think the Chicago Bulls have gained some respect for them as well.
I don't know if that's good news or bad news.
I hear what you're saying. And because of the way that Michael Jordan and the Bulls have played in the second half, it could be bad news for Miami.
Well, one of the things that you want to consider is this question that's so often asked, is it better to be in the lottery and get a couple ping pong balls or to be, in the playoffs? And I don't think there's any question. This Miami Heat team wanted to be in the playoffs. They're proud to be here, and they're acquitting themselves very nicely. Thank you.
Be sure to stay tuned for Inside the NBA with Fred Hickman. He'll have scores and highlights from tonight's action inside the NBA coming up following the Clippers and the Jazz from the Delta Center. Phil Jackson's Bulls turning it over, and Miami down 15 as we near the 10-minute mark for the fourth, trying to cut into that deficit. It's Rice against Jordan. And a foul call on Michael Jordan.
Well, you don't see that very often. That's the hand-checking foul. That's kind of a friendly warning from Daryl Garrettson. See the hand check? See the hand on the hip there? That's not much of a foul, but he's impeding his progress, and he's just saying, hey, I'm not going to allow that.
Glenn Rice connecting. Rice with 15. Jordan to Hodges. It's a 2. And the rebound out of bounds which way? To the Bulls. Rice the last to touch it for Miami.
Well, there's no question in my mind. Michael Jordan has come out in this quarter and said, I'm going to take care of some of my teammates. I got enough points. I don't want to get back to this thing where I get 50 and the rest of the team gets, 30.
But you know what, Dick? He calls himself a utility player. Michael Jordan says, I'm a utility man. Whatever my team needs from me, that's what I'm going to do on any given night. There are some nights I don't need to score. There are other nights when I do. Can you imagine him as a utility player? We think of a utility player in a baseball sense as a tip duck Scott Williams. We think of that as a guy who comes in as a substitute, right? Just fills in.
I'm aghast.
A utility player.
I'm at a loss for words. Seldom happens.
Getting down the lane is Edwards, and he finds Grant Long. minutes left, and Chicago the ball, a 13-point lead.
Now, what's interesting now is the spacing that the Chicago Bulls are trying to set up. Look how they're way outside the three-point line, trying to create some easy baskets.
Like that. Offensive foul on Rice. That's his fifth. I beg your pardon, that's his fourth.
Well, it's all going south right now for the Miami Heat. Irrespective, they have to be in a position where their club, their owners, their fans must feel good about how they came out and started this game.
Hey, there's 8:30 left. Here's Jordan in, finding Pippen, who finds Armstrong, who finds the basket.
Well, B.J. Armstrong is the finest long-range shooter on his team. He is their best three-point shooter. Shoots 40% from three-point line. Took 87 of them this year, made 35.
Being dominated not by a front-line player, but rather by a player from the backcourt, Michael Jordan. But then again, Dick, he dominates quite often. Here in Chicago Stadium, the Bulls have opened up a 17-point lead in the house that Jordan didn't build but has filled on a nightly basis.
And they're building another one right next door, which he will fill. An interesting sidebar. Scottie Pippen has only taken 7 shots. He has 11 points, but he has 11 assists and 5 rebounds. Doing what he has to help the team win.
This is Rice guarded by Pippen. Jordan snaps down the rebound. He's got 9. Armstrong pressured by Coles. Scott Williams guarded by Long. 6 on the shot clock. And Ronnie Cycli has the miss. Miami down 17. Glenn Rice looked like he got fouled by Jordan, no call. And Rice looked like he got fouled again, no call.
Yeah, that's a little discouraging. Kevin Lockery not happy. Man of the Miami Heat bench happy. Assistant coaches, trainers, doctors, lawyers, everybody unhappy, and they got reason.
Cole loses it to Armstrong, and then a foul call. Is it on Bilbo Coles? It is. 2 fouls on Coles in the contest, and Steve Smith returns to replace him. Also, Brian Shaw in for Kevin Edwards.
Yeah, that's a tough pill for a young team to take. You know, they feel that they've gotten to the playoffs, and they deserve the foul calls, irrespective of the score or how the flow of the game is going or how the momentum of the game is going. I mean, those were 2 obvious fouls that should have been called.
Chicago making a change. Horace Grant is back for Scott Williams. Jordan guarded by Shaw. Michael lost his footing and lost the ball.
Well, I think there's a wet spot on the floor because you don't often see him lose his footing like that.
Miami keeps it.
And they're out drying it up right now.
Michael Jordan closing in on a triple-double. He needs 2 assists and 1 rebound. Cycli is fouled by Jordan.
Chicago personal foul 23, Michael Jordan is forward.
4 fouls on Jordan. Bobby Hansen coming in to replace it. Michael Jordan getting a hand. His club in front by 17 with 6:53 remaining.
Well, Miami's doing the right things. When you're down, you want to score points with the clock stopped. You got to make your free ones, but they got the right idea. Punch the ball inside or take the ball off the dribble. You have a chance to maybe get some three-point plays or at worst end up on the free throw line with the clock stopped and you trying to score some points, trying to get yourself inched back into this game.
Ronnie Cycli, 2 out of 5 from the free throw line after that one. He's got 12 in the game. And the Bulls turn it over off the inbounds pass. And
there's another one of those proper things that you should do when you're behind. You extend your defense. They've been doing it intermittently throughout the game. They really need to do it now. They extended it all the way down to the baseline, got themselves a turnover.
Miami with a chance at 3 points this trip.
something I thought that they should have incorporated into things that they were doing offensively earlier in the game. Ronnie Suckley was rather passive throughout most of this game.
B.J. Armstrong leaves it for Pippen. Horace Grant, the offensive rebound, and a foul ball.
There's that 18-pound medicine ball that he went up to shoot because there was a huge restriction here. Watch the force on his shoulder. The ball's going to go inside, and the reason this guy is so good is that he is so strong. Now watch here. Look, how can he get up there? Because he lifts weights with Al Vermeil. They're weight training, brother of Vermeil.
Horace Grant shooting the free throws well. 3 for 3 tonight, 13 points. And the Chicago lead back to 17 with 6:25 remaining. If the Bulls maintain, Jordan may not be back. Here's Cycli inside on Grant. And Will Perdue, the rebound and a crowd. Scottie Pippen and Steve Smith runs out at it. 14 to shoot. Hansen to Armstrong, guarded by Rice. Here's Perdue on the handoff to Armstrong. Hansen with 3 on the clock. Force up over Shaw. And there should have been a 24-second violation, I think. Did that shot touch anything?
I don't think so.
They reset it. Cycli has fouled out of the game as a result.
No one is contesting it. The entire coaching staff of the Miami Heat simply is sitting there allowing the non-call on the 24-second to just go by the by. Let's take a look at it before I get too accusatory here.
Air ball. Oh, it might have grazed the bottom of the glass.
Might have. I guess the Miami Heat bench had a better look at it.
Yeah, you're right, Dick. They're over there by that basket.
Yeah, sorry, fellas.
2 shots for Perdue. It's been an adventure for Will Perdue at the free throw line in the regular season. And the adventure continues.
Well, let's take a look. We're being critical here of the Miami Heat coaching staff. I don't know. Well, I guess it did catch the bottom of the backboard there, yeah. They had a good look at it.
So Perdue splits him. He's got 9. That's double his regular season average. His 18-point lead for the Bulls, the largest. Shaw guarded by Armstrong. Hansen runs out at Smith. Shaw from the perimeter. Brian Shaw has 12. Hansen is trapped. It's knocked loose, but Horace Grant, he's there again to save the day for the Bulls.
This Heat team scratching and clawing, hanging in there, playing proudly, challenging shots.
Perdue, the offensive rebound. Will Perdue with 11. He's got 6 rebounds and 3 blocks. Pretty solid performance for Perdue.
Chicago really played the high pick and roll well that time. Turned the dribbler back. Never developed.
Steve Smith trying to get free baseline, and a foul called on Hansen. 4th team foul on Chicago. 4:38 remaining 4th quarter. It is a 102-84 lead for the Bulls. Smith for 3. Book it.
I mean, this guy is going to be some kind of player in this league.
Miami 5 for 12 from three-point country. We got an offensive foul called on Perdue, who was making the catch and delivering the pass at the same time. 2 fouls on Perdue. 99-61 New York over Detroit in the 4th. I think we can safely say the Knicks lead that series 1 game tonight. 4:12 remaining. Shaw over Armstrong. Another 3. Brian Shaw brings Miami to within 12.
Miami this year has been beautifully coached by Kevin Lockery. He's done a marvelous job. They're doing all the right things. They're coming down. They're trying to hit threes. They're still playing defense. They're not giving up. On the offensive end, when they can't get their threes up, they try to get the ball inside, try to get themselves on the free throw line, score some points with the clock stop, extend their defense.
Shaw against Armstrong, runs him off on a grand long screen and a foul call. B.J. Armstrong picks up the foul. Well, tomorrow on TNT at 11 a.m., the Saturday Shootout featuring Westerns all afternoon. The conquest of Cochise, Gun Fury, and the Devil's Doorway. And then inside the NBA. NBA basketball. And creature features all night long. Monsters. We're in the city of monsters of the Midway.
Well, we've had a monster performance by Michael Jordan tonight. He took the Chicago Bulls. He put them on his shoulders and said, guys, I will carry you through this little early swagger we had, this little doldrum that we were in, and I'll get you out of it, and I'm going to take a little rest and get ready for game 2.
This will be on Sunday afternoon here. This is Purdue and giddy up Brian Shaw.
Well, the reason you're going to have this little giddy up performance here is because of a good head and shoulder fake by Will Perdue. And look at everybody move over there, including Will Perdue, trying to help out and didn't want to see anybody get hurt.
Now, this is as fine a game, perhaps, as Will Perdue has played for the Bulls this season. Now, it's not equal offensively to his season high of 16 points, but he's been a real factor. He's got 13 points in the game.
Well, I get to see Chicago a lot. I live here, and I've watched this guy develop. He's a very serious-minded basketball player. He hopes that he's the center of the future for the Chicago Bulls, and he's preparing himself.
Shaw went a long way without a dribble. Pippen comes out with it. The Bulls with Jordan and Paxson. The starting backcourt back in there with 2:52 remaining. Michael Jordan to Pippen. Purdue on the tip. 15 for Purdue. I believe his playoff career high is 16. And a timeout taken. 2:37 remaining. It's at 20, so we'll be keeping it here with the Bulls in front by 16.
Well, J.D., if there's a hidden reason why the Chicago Bulls are as successful as they are, it might have to do with the fact that they don't get injured very much.
Full timeout. 2:37 left. Chicago 106 and Miami 90. Tomorrow night at 6 Eastern, Seattle Golden State, then the Nets and the Cleveland Cavaliers. New Jersey gave the Cavs a real struggle last night. Here early, Miami gave the Bulls a struggle. You know, you were talking before the break, Dick, about the Bulls and how relatively injury-free they have been, not just this year, but last year as well. In fact, this year they had a few more injuries.
Well, they're an organization that takes pride in avoiding injuries, and for the second year in a row, they're one of the least injured teams in the NBA. In their championship year, they only missed 20 games due to player injury, only 45 this year, and Bill Cartwright missed 28 of those. You know, in comparison, the Washington Bullets now missed 281.
Purdue swats it away. It's fourth block. Jordan looking inside. It's Grant. Now Jordan from the outside. Brian Shaw, the Heat rebound. Inside of 2 minutes left in game 1. Glenn Rice around the pick by Alan Ogg. And he is fouled. Rice to shoot 2.
In the playoffs, when two teams are playing each other and there's all this dissecting and bisecting because you are playing in a 5-game series or a 7-game series. Look for subtle changes. One of the changes that you might expect in Game 2 of this series is for Kevin Lockery to maybe play Glenn Rice at the small forward. He told us today when he plays the small forward, he has a tendency to take the ball to the basket a little bit more. Really, today, Glenn Rice played a one-dimensional game. That drive that you saw him take, which ended him up on the free throw line, was one of the first ones that he took all night. Yes, he was in early foul trouble, but I think he needs to add that dimension to that beautiful jump shot that he has.
It's a 14-point lead for the Bulls this trip with 1:40 left. That score you saw, Detroit losing to the Knicks, 109-75. We're told that that is the lowest offensive output by the Pistons in the playoffs. Michael Jordan has 44.
Well, if there was a name for that dunk, I'd call it the sandwich dunk. He was located directly between two people, soared into the air between them. The baloney came out of the sandwich and dunked the ball.
Rice being picked up by Horace Grant. The 3 try by Rice is short. Jordan throwing ahead to Grant. Horace Grant with 15. Now it's Jordan again coming up with a steal. Paxson to Jordan for the finish. 46. One of the man who holds the NBA playoff record for points in a game. Allen, Jordan the rebound. His 11th. He's got 9 assists.
Okay, this is mop-up time. This is the crowd time. But look at Kevin Lockery. Cool as can be. I've been here 62 times. This is only one game. We played pretty darn well. I'm going to be talking to you guys about it when I get down to that locker room.
No basket for Will Perdue. He will be shooting 2, however. John Sunbold on the foul. Jordan out of the game now. He will not get the triple-double, but he had a Michael Jordan-like night in getting the Bulls pointed in the right direction. And it was the flood of Michael Jordan that proved to be the demise of the Miami Heat on this night.
The flood of points. Right. It was a flood of points.
Will Perdue shooting for a new playoff career high with his second free throw. Pippen getting a hand as he heads out with 33.8.
Again, the Miami Heat really played well. They've got to be very proud of how they played. And the Miami Heat is going to be a much more confident team in Game 2 on Sunday and an incredibly more confident team when they get back to the Miami Arena.
Where earlier this year they played the Bulls a 2-point game. 21.1 remaining. Sunbold off the inbounds, hitting the side edge, and Perdue another rebound. The Bulls can freeze it out. Scott Williams for 3. He knew where it was going to end up. He went for his own rebound and lost it out of bounds. So Miami with it. 6.8 left. And the Heat are going to let it run out. John Morton for 3. We've had a foul call, I believe. Or did we? Wait a minute. Had a foul called.
Chicago personal foul, Bobby Hansen.
It's on Bobby Hansen. Are they going to shoot the free throws? They are. They're going to beckon John Morton back to the free throw line.
As we see Kevin Lockery proud of his team. And we have Michael Jordan heading over to talk to us.
So the Bulls step out with a Game 1 victory. It was a little struggle for Chicago, but thanks to Michael Jordan, as we mentioned, he got them going in the right direction, and they were able to cruise in for the win tonight and move on ahead in this series 1-0. The free throws by Morton now give us the final score of 113-94.
Chicago Bulls 113 to Miami.
Gillette presents Sensor, the system The technology that will change the way you shave forever. Sensor, twin blades set on springs to read your face and respond. Independent suspension to sense and adjust to every curve of your face. No other.
Rather lopsided, but it was a much closer game than that, especially so in the first half. And we've asked Bulls guard Michael Jordan to stop by and visit with us here on the post-game show. Michael, I mentioned at the end of the game that you guys got off to a sluggish start, but you got them pointed in the right direction. You sensed that your team needed some offense from you, and you were certainly able to deliver.
Well, I can sense everybody was a little nervous, even though we tried to be as confident as possible coming into the game, because it's a lot of high expectations here in Chicago because of what we did last year and what we've done in the regular season. So I think the shots were a little light, a little tight, you know, long shots, short shots. So, you know, I took my leadership in terms of offense to try to loosen things up.
Is it more difficult to defend a title or to win it the first time?
You know, I think it's really fun because the expectations are there and the challenges are there. So you can't fall asleep. You got to step on the court and be ready to play.
I thought I detected on the countenances of your teammates and maybe even you a little swagger, maybe some preconceived notions about this team that you were playing. It is, after all, their first entrance into the playoffs.
It is, and you try to use that as a motivational factor. Use the first game as some type of a message to send, if possible, that it's not going to be as easy as they may think, and it's going to be a tough series, and hopefully we can keep things going.
Well, I thought that it looked like there was a little overconfidence on the Chicago Bulls' part, and it looked like you sensed it, and you said, let me set an example here, and you had that one dunk. I told him if that dunk had a force meter on it, it would have broken it.
Yeah, I guess that was true. I mean, it's hard to come in and try to take this team lightly. You got to, you know, it's a little swagger involved, especially with our reputation preceding us a little bit, but somehow you got to play through it, you know, and hopefully this first game is out the way. We can kind of settle down to a more evenly played game.
Well, there's no question you got the ship righted.
So far.
MJ, all the best.
Thanks, guys.
All right. We'll be back in Chicago Stadium in a moment.
It's like the best.
It goes to Moses. Shoot it, Moses, from midcourt.
It's like that sports car, that Ferrari.
Jackson behind the back for Ewing. Spectacular.
The best cheesecake you ever had.
3-on-1.
I love this game.
Ask anyone who's
pulling away to win going away and take a 1-0 lead in this series. Tonight's Budweiser player of the game, Michael Jordan. What a night. 46 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, and he was 21 out of 34 from the field.
Well, he had an electric game. There's no question about it. He felt that he needed to step up because his team started rather sluggishly. And the reason that he had this explosive night was because he felt they needed some inspiration, and he gave it to them.
NBA playoff action continues on TNT. The Los Angeles Clippers and the Utah Jazz. For Dick Versace, this is Jim Durham saying good night from Chicago Stadium.
Experience